here, but she's talking outside.
Commissioner Palmieri? Commissioner Hattis? Commissioner Dobb?
Here.
Commissioner Baydun?
Here.
Commissioner Ware?
Present.
Chair Markey?
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Okay, Commissioner Varga just walked in as well. Okay, next item.
B, approval of the January 14, 2020 meeting minutes.
Support.
Okay, we have an approval and support. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item.
C, unfinished business.
Okay, unfinished business. We have, last time we passed 4 of these items. Now we have 5 items because we needed to have a public hearing. Unfortunately, the Detroit News did not post the public hearing notice, so we have to pass these again for the day. So if I could have a motion for that. Okay, so we have a motion and support to pass the 5 items. They're all traffic control orders. It's the 4 items and then the 1 under new business. So we'll pass it for the day and bring it up next time. All those in favor? Oh. Yes, and the 1 under new business. Yes, thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, we'll pass those 5 items for the day. Next item.
Item 2, under a new business, requesting commission approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Woodhaven.
Okay,
Support.
any questions on this? Comments? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of a 3-year contract with the 1-year option to renew with Wade Trim Associates, Inc.
Okay,
Move approval.
Support.
all right, we're moving along with this. Any questions on this one? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Township of Burford.
Okay, I'd just like to note that Commissioner Palomera is here. Okay, this is the Township of, and Commissioner Hattis.
Present.
Yep, I'm just noting that you're here. Okay, so this is for Handy Park in the Redford Township, and this is part of the Parks Initiative.
Move approval.
All right. Any questions? Commissioner Webb's district. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of a contract with Cadillac Asphalt LLC.
Okay. This is for hot mix asphalt.
Move approval.
Okay, questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, now, next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 6, requesting commission approval of a sanitary sewer service agreement with the Western Townships Utilities Authority.
Okay, so number 6, number 7, number 8, then on the addenda, number 9, number 10, and number 11 all have to do with the WATUA contracts. And we'll take all of these together because we have people that have come in to explain some of this to us. So who's ever here on this, please come forward. So we'll take these all together. Good morning.
Morning. Mike Caldwell. Salzburg.
Okay. If you could turn on your mic, Mike. Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Elizabeth Barrera. I'm Department of Public Services Environment.
Okay. Thank you. So maybe you can, oh, hi, Omega.
Good morning, Elmika Steele, Wayne County Department of Public Services.
Good morning. Okay.
So-
We've all read through this, but I'm sure it's a very complicated matter, appears to be.
Can we go?
All right, sure.
Sure.
So just in terms of a little bit of background.
Is your mic on, Omega?
Make sure it's still on. There we go.
There you go.
In terms of a little bit of background, Wayne County owns and operates the Rouge Valley Sewage Disposal System. And that is what we call a transport systems, meaning that we receive flows from some of the local communities that it serves, transport those flows to Great Lakes Water Authority, their plant for treatment and disposal. Customers in the Rouge Valley system included the Western Townships Utility Authorities, Canton Township, Plymouth Township, and Northville Township. We call it WATUA for short. We like acronyms. So WATUA actually has been historically splitting its flows, meaning that it would send some flows to the Rouge Valley system and some flows to Ypsilanti's plant. And WATUA put Wayne County on notice that it was electing to leave the Rouge Valley system in its entirety so that it would be sending all of its flows 100% to the Ypsilanti facilities, which it does have WATUA has the right to make that choice. So in order to deal with WATUA exiting the Rouge Valley system, there were a number of agreements that needed to be put into place to deal with what would occur once they were in fact no longer a customer of the Rouge Valley system. And Mike, I'll let you talk a little bit about those agreements. Sure.
And one of the big issues that we immediately brought to WATUA's attention was it's not as simple as just, hitting a valve switch and sending your flow to Ypsilanti. We have outstanding debt that has been approved by the WATUA communities along with the other customers, and we expect you to pay that share, your share of the debt before you, despite the fact that you're leaving. So that is one of the issues. And then, it's kind of complicated, but in essence, it's fairly straightforward. There are portions of WATUA's system that are tributary to WATUA's system that are going to flow to Ypsilanti, and at this point already are, that are from communities that are still in our system. The City of Plymouth and the City of Northville both have portions of their community that are connected to WATUA. Now, when WATUA was sending its waste to us, it all, didn't really matter. It was all coming to us either via WATUA or directly from the cities. But now that WATUA's portion is being diverted to Ypsilanti, we needed to address that. In addition, and more relevant to our concerns, there were portions of the townships that did not connect to WATUA, but rather connected to the Rouge system directly. And that waste was either going to continue coming to us, or the communities were going to have to implement huge infrastructure changes to repipe their flow to WATUA and then to Ypsilanti. And now, fortunately, the areas covered by the two respective flow swap areas, we call them, the township flow swap areas and the city township flow swap areas, roughly the same. So net, it's really about the same in terms of the amount of flow from the Rouge system customers, the cities that will now be going to Ypsilanti, is about the same as the township areas that are going to still be connected to us. But we needed to address that contractually, because once WATUA formally left, we would have no contractual relationship with the townships that were still going to be sending us waste via the cities or directly to us. So we had to come up with a number of agreements. And then I guess the last issue in general terms is WATUA, initially took the position that, well, we're no longer sending you our waste. We're no longer responsible for paying our share of the outstanding debt, even though there's another 12 years left on these 20-year revolving loans. And you approved, that you said you'd pay the whole amount, and it's not fair to our remaining customers to have to pick up your share. But they wanted to, there's about 20 CFS that would be leaving with Watua, or so, or is it even more? A little bit more,
Yeah,
28,
yeah,
something like
right,
that?
about that amount.
And,
Excuse me, what,
Oh,
CFS?
I'm sorry, for their flow limit, for the flows that they would be sending.
yeah, the system is overtaxed, and you've probably heard there's a lot of big improvements that need to be made to the system because the capacity is just not large enough already. And it actually, the burden of addressing the overcapacity issues with the system are lessened by Watua leaving and taking their flow with them. So it's actually, in that sense, a good thing for the system. But Watua wanted to, they wanted to assign their capacity to the cities, and to either Plymouth or Novi were the most interested, and be compensated for that. And that would, in practical terms, it helped ease the burden of paying this debt that they had agreed to pay. And that sort of assignment of capacity has been done in the past. The original 61 contract provided for that. And we were willing to accommodate them in that regard, so long as there were a number of, conditions we put on that, and that's set forth in the termination agreement. So those were like kind of the three big issues that we had to address: the debt, the flow swap areas, and the assignment of capacity. And the structure of the related agreements is, the main agreement between us and Watua is the termination agreement. That provides for us approving the assignment of capacity, along as we get the number of conditions are met. It provides, probably most importantly, or one of the most important issues for us, it provides that Watua will pay us the 1.3 million plus that they still owe over roughly the same period of time that they would have paid it if they were still in the system. And it requires Watua to negotiate what I'll refer to as flow swap agreements with the affected communities that have flow that's going to be, going to each other's system. And the sanitary service agreements, I believe 3 and 4 in your packets, are what I refer to as the flow swap agreements. It just seems more descriptive, but probably didn't make a official sounding enough title. And then the last agreement, and then there's 2 amendments to those, because we realized that when they negotiated the flow swap agreements with the local communities, they didn't use the right exhibits, and the exhibits describe the adjusted service areas, and we needed those service area exhibits to be consistent with our agreement that we have with GLEWA, because we're only allowed to send waste or send flow from, the county service area. And so we had to amend the exhibits, and that's what there's two amendments to, one each to the flow swap agreements that I think are numbers 6, 5, and 6, maybe. If I could get to that quickly. Yeah, 5 and 6 are the amendments, and those really are not substantive, other than they just put in the right exhibits. Then the last agreement is, after we basically said, Watua, negotiate whatever you want, or whatever you can with Novi and Plymouth, City of Plymouth, as far as assigning up to a certain amount of your capacity to those communities. And so they went out and did that. Turns out Novi, at the end of the day, was not interested in paying for additional capacity. They're going to address their overcapacity issues by building a retention basin. They have enough room geographically to build a retention basin to hold the wet weather flows, then kind of discharge those to the system when it's dry. Plymouth is much more built out, so they had fewer options to address their overcapacity issues. And so they agreed to pay, I think, 1.5 million or something like that total for 7 CFS cubic feet per second. Now, even a lawyer can be taught math-related things. So they actually agreed to pay more than what the Wautua communities owe us. And we said to Wautua that, you shouldn't get to keep the excess, that should go to the system. And what we ended up negotiating was 100% of what Wautua gets from Plymouth will be transferred within 60 days to the county to be applied to the system's account, if you will. And then after the debt is paid, until I think it's 1.3 and change is paid, after that, the excess amount will be 92.5% will go to the county, and Wautua will get to keep 7.5%. So that is set forth in the sharing agreement, which is number 2 in your packet. So the termination agreement and the sharing agreement are between us and Wautua. The 2 sanitary service agreements, the flow swap agreements, as I kind of refer to them, are between the relevant communities, member communities, and Wautua and the county.
Okay, so once this $1.3 million debt is paid off, I mean, obviously, they must be doing this because down the road, they're going to be saving money.
Yeah,
Are there
I
any
assume so.
numbers? I mean, we don't have their attorneys here.
Right. We don't know. I mean, as Mr. Caldwell alluded, there is, the Rouge Valley system has a final order of abatement from Eagle, formerly DEQ, for some improvement to be constructed, yet to be determined. And we're in the middle of what we call the long-term corrective action plan. So it is our belief, although obviously we cannot speak for Wautua, but it's our belief that in anticipation that there would be a very large improvement project coming, they have somehow made their own calculations or determination that there would be some cost savings if they just simply sent all of their flows to Ypsilanti.
Got it. Did they have to do any improvements in their infrastructure for this, or was that already all?
They were already splitting
already
flows.
sending,
They
yeah.
were,
Yeah,
they
so
were
that was all
already,
set.
yes,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, there was a big check to be written going forward.
Got it.
but that they were able to avoid by sending all their flow to.
Got it.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. And they are the only set of communities that are just geographically located to be able to take advantage of this dual option that the rest of the communities don't have.
How long will it take to pay the 1.3 million? How many years?
I think it's 12 or 13.
Right, but I mean, there could be a possibility, obviously, that it could be paid off sooner than that.
Yep.
Yeah, if Plymouth continues to pay, and there is a mechanism for Plymouth to reduce the amount that they pay, the amount of capacity they'd be getting. But if they continue to pay the full amount for the full period, they're paying like 155 or 150,000 plus a year. The minimum payment that Wautua is obligated to pay, whether they get a dime from Plymouth or not, is 95,000. And so, I don't know, 40, help me Liz, 40% extra each year will be, and that'll all be assigned to we get 100% of that until the debt payment's paid off. So it could be paid off in a shorter period of time.
Got it. Okay. Questions?
With all this exchange and cost, renovation, there anything would be assessed to the resident?
Well, when you say, I want to clarify, the renovation cost that maybe, if you're referring to the long-term corrective action plan, the project to come, we do not know yet what that will be, but yes, that would be a system cost. So the county does not assess residents directly. It is the public corporations that are, customers of the Rouge Valley system, and then how those systems, each community handles their, water and sewer costs. We don't make that determination for them in terms of how ultimately that is passed on to their residents.
The two different systems, they ever in their discussion put on the table their cost to the citizen, their assessment, or they just gonna surprise the public with it?
Well, and when you say the two different systems, I want to make sure I'm understanding your question to answer it.
Yeah, Ypsilanti and,
So we have Ypsilanti has nothing to do with Rouge Valley. That's just a separate system
Right.
that the Watauga communities had years ago that they're already connected to it. So there's nothing that Watauga has to construct to connect to Ypsilanti. They're already connected. They're just simply making a decision that they're gonna now send 100% of their flows to Ypsilanti instead of splitting it the way that they had been doing it by sending part of their flows to Rouge Valley and part of their flows to Ypsilanti.
yeah, but the natural thing, doesn't matter if it's in Ypsilanti or down river, the normal thing in the past there, wherever they cost, they assess it to the customer.
Maybe your question is, and I don't, tell me if your question is there a difference in costs for the Watauga customers because now 100% of their flows is going to Ypsilanti?
Yeah, definitely.
I do not know the answer to that question. Because I can't speak for currently, again, each community will assess some communities pay it in certain ways, and some add on different charge. We've been asked that question in the past. How does each community ultimately make its determination for what its citizens pay? We simply get a rate that is passed to us from Great Lakes Water Authority. There is some county overhead or costs, but then that rate, and we do a rate package that comes to the commission for approval. But then after that point, the county does not determine how each individual community handles their rates.
Yeah, I really, my concern is the public aware of exactly in detail what's going on? And do they, if it's gonna incur some cost to them, some assessment, do they have a choice?
These agreements, they went to the respective boards and governing bodies of the municipalities that are involved. So obviously, the county, I mean, they're public notice and citizens certainly have a right to, to appear or to, receive information or give comments. All of them have already gone through that particular process before we brought it here for commission approval.
And our assumption is that the reason Watauga made the decision to switch and send all of its flow to Ypsilanti was that it would save their communities money, if not immediately, in the long run.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dobb?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify to make sure that I'm sure on this. So there will be portions, there's a portion of Plymouth Township and a portion of the city of Plymouth that will remain, that Watauga will remain sending its flow to Rouge.
The way it works there are portions of Canton Township, portions of Northfield Township, and portions of Plymouth Township that will continue to come to the Rouge system.
Okay, and then is that permanent? There is no physical option to send those portions to Ypsilanti?
Not without
construction,
significant
right.
construction, tearing up the roads, putting in
Right.
pipe, and costing the citizens of those communities a lot of money. And that's why we tried to accommodate Watauga in doing the flow swaps. And it just made sense for everyone. It's no, just because they're leaving, they're still members of the county. We don't want those residents to have to pay, higher rates because they had to reroute their pipes to connect to Ypsilanti.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was the city of Northville part of that too? Part of the city of
Yeah,
Northville?
yeah, there's,
It's staying at the on the Rouge?
there's parts of yes, there's parts of City of Northville and City of Plymouth that are going to continue to go to Watua and will now go to Ypsilanti.
Got it, okay.
The townships
But
are
there's still
going to,
customers in the Rouge Valley system.
Right,
but
the
it's just
cities.
Right, but part of their flows are going to Ypsilanti.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what would make Eagle not go to that system and demand upgrades to the Ypsilanti system?
it's a matter of capacity.
Right.
Oh, it's
separate
all a matter
system.
of capacity.
Yes,
Okay.
right, yep.
And apparently Ypsilanti has sufficient capacity to accommodate
Right.
the extra flow that will be coming and has been coming from the Watua communities.
Okay, all right, so it's all,
They're, I think it's probably as simple as their system is newer
Yes.
It is,
than our
they do
system.
have a newer system.
and
newer
less,
than Rouge
less
Valley.
customers on it.
Right.
Okay, all right. Well, good. This makes a lot more sense. Any questions? Any direction?
I'll move approval.
Okay, so we have an approval and support. Anybody?
Are we taking all those items?
This is 6 through 11. Yep, we went on to the addenda, so we could do it all at once. And they're very happy this is happening today.
Yes.
So, all right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, all these items pass, and thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
forward. Appreciate it. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item. We're on the addenda now, right? Okay, go ahead.
Item 12, communication from Beverly Watts, Director, Department of Public Services, forwarding notification of an emergency procurement contract with Majeski and Masters.
Okay, I think this is a receive and file. As I recall. Okay.
Support.
Okay, so receive and file, this is work that was done prior. Okay, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Item passes. Next item, please.
Item 13, requesting commission approval of modification 1 to a cooperative contract with Kirk's Automotive.
Okay. For automated replacement parts. Questions, direction? Okay, we have an approval and support. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item.
Item 14, requesting commission approval of a contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Okay, this is to Allen Road and Van Horn Road.
Move approval. Support.
Okay, we have approval and support. Any questions on this? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nays? Motion passes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Does anybody have? Commissioner Varga?
Thank you. I just wanted to remind the public that since we are going online, that some of us are looking in our iPads and we're not just playing around, we're looking at our agendas. Thank you.
Hopefully that was loud and clear on that mic. To the home audience, too. Yes, we're all getting used to these new iPads, and I think it's going to be pretty cool once we get the hang of it.
I did not know if the audience would know
Yeah.
that we're actually looking at our agendas and work as opposed to other things.
Yes, you'll see us all without paper, and by next Thursday?
I'm always gonna carry the paper.
Oh, except for Commissioner Ware.
For backup, I have to.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to.
Can't help it, I'm just
Okay, thank you. Next item.
F, public comments.
Anyone from the public that would like to address public services? I think we know everybody in the public, so, in the public seats. Anybody from the public? Okay, seeing none, next item.
Adjournment.
Okay,
So moved.
we have approval and support. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'm gonna start.
We are now
playing it.
adjourned.
with that barbecue sauce.